I'm telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. You want to hear the Tren twins. They're listening to everything Coach Greg says. They're doing exactly as they're told. That they're going to be the youngest pros ever. Well, first of all, the youngest pro was in fact pro at only 19 years of age in men's physique. Crazy, I know. But regardless of that, it's not a race. You don't need to turn pro at the youngest age. In fact, if it takes you longer to get there, you're going to appreciate it more, and it's that much more enjoyable. The harder you have to work for something, the better. And the Tren twins, one thing they will do in spades, more than they need to, is work and train hard. They are highly dedicated. They are willing to suffer and put in the work. And so you're thinking, well, how are they not listening then? Well, let me explain.
What ego lifting can do for you, it can essentially allow you to stop being a cook in the gym.
And so he brings up a valid point. If you just go to the gym and never push yourself, you're never ego lifting per se, you're just playing around with light weights, never really trying hard, you're limiting your gains. But does that mean the answer is to then ego lift?
Make the biggest noises and command an audience, have to slam the weight around because they are overcompensation for physical inadequacies.
And so yes, it could be somebody going to the gym and just screaming around, throwing heavy weights, trying to beat their opponents. But there's more to it than that. Ego lifting is when someone attempts to lift more weight than they should. Then they should. To me, that is the key word. And so I'm not saying that you can't cheat reps. I'm not saying not to go to failure, that you can't do forced rep, that you can't use a bit of body English to make the weight go up. After all, you can cheat on your girls or cheat on your curls, but it's preferable to cheat on your curls. Because if you cheat on your girls, it's bad, right? It's bad, right? Babe used to be around. She's not here. I can't ask her. I don't know if it's actually that bad. I think it's bad. I'm not sure. It's probably bad. Ego lifting is more likely to end in injury than lead to your goals. And so, for example, the mountain, he just recently tore his pec, put on an all-time PR on the bench. He jumped from 230 kilo to 240. Rather than jumping to 250 or less, he jumped to an all-time PR. He put more weight on the bar than he should. It was a powerlifting meet. People were cheering him on. He felt extra confident. He was pumped, amped up, and put an all-time PR, tore his pec. And so he put on more weight than he should. It was more likely to lead to injury than achieving his goals. His goal is to set the all-time world record in powerlifting. Putting up more weight than he should on the bar, which led to an injury, it's going to prevent him from reaching his goal. And so I'm still going to argue that you should not ego lift. And let me tell you, the Tren twins are, in fact, ego lifting. They might even be ego lifting harder than last time. And the worst time to ego lift, it's when you're on a diet while taking performance-enhancing drugs. When you're on PEDs, your muscles get significantly stronger at a faster rate than your tendons. The tendons attach the muscle to the bone and are what causes your body to move. And so if you're bench pressing or curling more weight than you should, if the muscle can't handle it, although it's strong enough to handle it, if it can't stay attached to the tendon and it tears, well, you're going to get injured. And so just wait and see how much weight the Tren twins go for on the bench press. Going to show you how it could potentially lead to injury and why they need to stop. And remember, I'm not sharing all the details of myself with my coaching clients. It's private. But what I am doing is commenting on what they're showing on social media. And so they're showing themselves lifting these weights, and so I'm going to comment them.
The Urban Dictionary for ego lifter is typically of male persuasion.
And it is true. He's saying typically the male persuasion. It is in fact true that there's more men who ego lift than women. I have in fact done a video on this. I spoke to which sex trains harder in the gym overall, men versus women. Of course, you can go and check that out. And perhaps you'll be surprised. You might think it's misogynistic to say that most men train harder in the gym than most women, but it's simply the truth. I speak facts. I had research and I show the research. And so watch the frickin' video.
We ego lift with intensity and emotion.
And so I'm not disagreeing with them. They're ego lifting with emotion and intensity, but they still fail. If you go for a 1 rep max and you can't get the weight, you failed. You failed at that weight. Now, if you use perfect technique and you have a lighter weight and you're going for 10 reps or more and you fail at the end of the set, well, that's good. You're training to failure. You're supposed to do that. But if you put up more weight than you should just to see how much weight you can bench press while dieting for a powerlifting competition and you don't get the weight, if you can't lift it, that is ego lifting. Remember, lifting more weight than you should. Should you be going for 1 rep maxes on the bench press while dieting for a bodybuilding competition? Of course not. And even if it was a powerlifting competition, I would argue this is not smart. How often do powerlifters go for 1 rep maxes in the gym leading up to a powerlifting competition? Rarely, if ever. And how often would they put a 1 rep max in the gym training for a powerlifting meet and not actually be able to get it? Not often, if ever. And if they're smart, they wouldn't fail it. And remember, not getting the weight on any particular day and not being injured doesn't mean you're out of the woods. If you, in fact, go for a 1 rep max and you fail on that attempt, or you lift very heavy, don't get all the reps, or even if you do, that can predispose the muscle for injury on a later date. And so just because you made it through that workout and didn't get injured doesn't mean you're free and clear for the next. You might have micro tears in the muscle, or you've just predisposed your body to being injured in the future. Each training day can lead to a certain stress on the body and cause you to get closer and closer to injury. And one day, it's finally the day, and you get injured, torn pec, bye.